Hey, good morning, Hayden. It's John Gleason, Gleason Manufacturing. I'm just giving you an electronic, I guess you can call it an assembly manual or an instruction manual, because nobody's going to sit down and read written instruction manuals. So it sounds like you're more than capable of what you're doing here. I just wanted to give you some quick advice on how I assemble these kits, and hopefully you can just get the job done super quick and efficiently. So just starting on the oil feed side, we'll come down here, we'll spin this fitting into your block here, into your front iron, little aluminum crush washer underneath there, and that goes up into here. This connection on this side to the hard line will already be tight. I tightened that on the bench. This one will need tightening. Just make sure you use a helper wrench on that centerpiece, because they're aluminum fittings and they are prone to breaking off. They should definitely be tight though. So this is your EFR. It's all mocked up. So this fitting already exists on the EFR. You'll just spin this puppy on, and there's already a restrictor inside the EFR, so you don't have to worry about any of the sizing. It's all taken care of already. Moving down to the bottom, so you already have a fitting that I machined to the right depth that will fit into the EFR, a dash 10 fitting. And that goes to this dash 10 connection, to the 60 degree, sorry, I'm losing my train of thought here, to the 60 degree fitting, and this short little extension piece goes into your front cover. The spacing is tight to get your wrench on here, but the right thing to do is just to get it centered so your wrench slips onto, or your socket slips onto both sides well, and then lock her down in that position. There's also a gasket for that I provide. It doesn't need any silicone or anything, and I always prefer not to use silicone when possible. These connections have been made with high temperature liquid pipe thread dope, so they're good to go. They're tight already. You don't need to dork with those. And my only pro tip to you would be, everybody seems to do this a little bit differently, but I would just recommend bolting the turbo on just with 2 studs. Getting the direction correct here, because these fittings do not swivel, so you need to make sure that this is pointing the direction you want it before you fasten down the turbo. The reason I recommend just bolting it on so you can remove it is just to get this in the right direction and then tighten this dash 10 fitting, which is really hard to get with a wrench in the engine bay. Some people do it just fine. I've done it both ways successfully. So then my pro tip here is just you want to get as much distance between the manifold as you can. We've never had an issue with this, but I think it's because most people do their due diligence in getting it far away. So I just pull this over with my hand and then lock down this fitting here, and that holds it in that position. It also makes a memory, so once that heats up a few times, it will naturally go like that when you pull off your turbo, so you don't have to stress about it. Moving on to the coolant stuff, this is your lower coolant line. Simple banjo fitting with aluminum crush washers on there to this dash 10 connection, and that just goes to your bottom nipple here. That'll have a hose clamp there. This is really high quality silicone reinforced heater hose, so it's hose you can trust. I'm not a huge fan of hose connections, but these have been really exceptional. So this is just simple aluminum. Everything here, and the same with the top stainless line for your feed. You can manipulate it all by hand, so feel free to just manipulate this out of the way. It's always hard to determine what fuel system people will be running, and where you're going to mount your regulator, and you know what size fuel lines you're running. So if any of this is in the way, this bends by hand, and it will not kink unless you really give her the beans on a sharp point. So just keep all the bends gentle, but so far this has fit every single chassis. I'm just kind of covering myself for if you have any kind of a weird setup. Feel free to reach out to me. If anything here does not work with your setup, I'm more than willing to help you out until it's right. So that's your lower. Your upper is right here, and that's just a short little hose connection. You have 2 options. You can run it to this top nipple here, or this lower nipple right there. Tough to see, but they're both in the upper section of your water neck. Both are fine, absolutely no problem. all this will do is do a bit of a loop down to there. My only recommendation, again, is to make sure that this is not kinked when you fasten it down. Just give that a little bit of a trim if it needs it, but as it is now, if you go to the top nipple, that should be absolutely perfect. I think that's it. This is your 9180. This is the elbow welded on for it. This is also your manifold, mocked up and ready. Your wastegates are not on here. They're just in boxes, but I don't usually mock those up. Your downpipe is laying around here, so it is, your kit is 100% done. It's heading out the door today. And I really just want to take a sec to say thank you so much for buying this kit and for what I would consider going well out of your way to make a purchase with me, like in Canada, and when you're so far away. So thank you so much for that. I will always be here to service you in any way possible. If you have any issues with any of these components, any positive feedback, and especially any negative feedback, I would love to hear it. It always helps improve the kits. And I will never leave you hanging. I'll always be here to support you with whatever I can. So yeah, enjoy. I hope this makes it to you safely. And as always, when it gets there, if the box looks like it's had a rough trip or a hot supper, please check the contents inside before you sign for it. This is insured, so any mishaps will be covered. It'll just be a little annoying to deal with, that's all. Okay? Thank you so much. Hope you have an awesome day.